Have you ever been to a free Jewish event and wondered, what's the catch? Have you ever received a gift only afterwards to realize there are strings attached? I've had both experiences, and I'm guessing so have many of you in the audience and online. What I'd like to do tonight is spend some time to explore the concept of what a gift is, what free is, why everything that is free is not necessarily a gift, and conversely, why not all gifts are really free. And in doing so, hopefully we'll uncover, I think, a pretty powerful paradigm that will help change the way we craft and design Jewish organizations and events. But before we get there, I'd like to start with a story about the biggest program the Jews have ever done, a program that was supposed to be both a gift and free. In a recent article in E-Jewish Philanthropy, the philanthropist Charles Brafman talks about the launch of Birthright in the late 90s, together with Michael Steinhardt. In Brafman's telling, the deck was stacked against Birthright. Federations didn't want to have anything to do with it. They had no idea if there was a market for it. And the Israeli government, they thought they were crazy. And while his article describes some of the external challenges, Brafman writes that there was one issue that almost capsized the entire endeavor, and that was whether the trip should be free or not. Michael Steinhardt thought it should be free. Charles Brafman thought we should charge a nominal fee of $250 or $300, a sum of money that was in the reach of most Jewish young adults. In order to solve this impasse, Brafman did what you do when you try to solve a market problem, right? You do the research. So they presented the research paper, and the way Brafman tells it, Michael Steinhardt was about to throw it out the window. According to Brafman, Steinhardt said, "I don't give a damn what the research paper says. This can't be another Jewish discount," Steinhardt said. "It has to be a gift. It's too important for the future of the Jewish people," Steinhardt said. Now, what's this disagreement really about? So it seems to me obvious that Brafman thought that this was a disagreement over tactics, right? What's the best way to recruit for a trip? Do you offer it for free, or do you offer it for a nominal sum of money? Steinhardt, on the other hand, thought that the disagreement revolved around another point completely, something a little more deeper and fundamental, which is, what type of thing is Birthright? And he thought it was a gift. And if it's a gift, then the tools of the market, analytics, focus groups, data, research, they don't make one iota of a difference. So here are my questions. If that's the case, what is a gift? Why is it important that Birthright be a gift? And since Birthright is a Jewish program, what's a Jewish gift? What are its characteristics? The first one, and there are certain essential gifts. One of them is the land of Israel. The 11th century Jewish sage Rashi, who was really a rabbinic superstar, who pretty much commented on everything, asked the question, why does the Torah begin with, in the beginning? Why doesn't it start with the beginning when the Jews form as a people and the law is given to the Jewish people 50, 75 pages later? One point that he makes is that the whole land is created by the Holy One, blessed be He. It's all God's. And God willed to give it to a certain people, and God willed to give it to another people, and then He willed to give it to the Jewish people. God gave us the land of Israel willingly. The first characteristic is gifts must be given freely and willingly. Second characteristic, this complicates things a little, is that there's a paradox in the gift. Gifts are both free and not free. And to illustrate this point, I'd actually like to talk about a different type of gift. Not a gift of a thing, like Israel, but the gift of an experience, Shabbat. And the Talmud says in Tractate Shabbat, the Holy One, blessed be He, as it were, said to Moshe, "Moshe, I have a wonderful present in my treasure house. It is called Shabbat, and I wish to give it to the Jewish people. Go make it known to them." So Moshe does that. What makes Shabbat a gift? For me, and I actually think for a lot of the Jewish tradition, it's the idea of rest. The verses in Devarim and Deuteronomy say, 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh is a Sabbath to your Lord God. On it you should do no work, neither you. And here I think is the important point, because not only you need to rest. Not only you receive the gift of Shabbat, but you have to share it. Your son, your daughter, your male or female servant, your ox, your donkey, even the foreigner who lives in your land, so that your male and female servant shall rest just like you. As soon as I receive the gift of Shabbat, I need to share it. As soon as I receive a gift, I need to bring other people in. I can't consume a gift alone. Characteristic number 3, gifts create community. To illustrate this point, I'd actually like to leave the Jewish tradition for a bit and to sort of recognize that over the last 100 years, ethnographers, anthropologists, philosophers have all really talked about the idea of gifts and gift cultures. And one book that's been a bit foundational for me in thinking about gifts is a work by Lewis Hyde called The Gift, Creativity and the Artists in the Modern World. And in this book, Hyde synthesizes much of the vast literature about gifts and gift giving. And at one point, Hyde writes that as opposed to the sale of a commodity, the giving of a gift tends to establish relationships between the parties involved. Furthermore, Hyde adds, the circulation of a gift in a community creates relationships between the people who receive the gifts. A community often derives its cohesion by the circulation of gifts. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel said it much more simply when he talked about the gift of Shabbat, when he said, the soul cannot celebrate alone. Characteristic number 4, gifts can be compared to markets. Contrast everything I've said to when we buy and sell things. When I go into a store and I buy something, the relationship ends the moment I give money to the shopkeeper, the seller, and I receive something in return. I no longer have a relationship with that person. There's no indebtedness between I and him or her. Money does not connect people, gifts do. And this last point is actually deeply important to me. I've been a Jewish professional pretty much my entire life. When I was 12 years old, turning 13, the summer of 1992, 25 years ago, I was a counselor in training in a day camp on Long Island. Since then, I've worked as a counselor, worked as a rabbi, I've worked as a teacher, I've worked as a social entrepreneur. I actually even worked for Birthright or Birthright Next for a few years. Now I'm the executive director of Cornell Hillel. And pretty much in all these different organizations have tried to crack the same nut as Birthright. How do they craft amazing, transformative, and inspiring experiences and at the same time make them affordable? So some organizations have decided, like Birthright, this to make them free. There are problems actually with that. There are consequences. There was a previous Eli talk about the costs of free. One of the costs of free being that Jewish young adults and others feel entitled. They feel like just like this experience is free, so too all experiences should be free. We teach entitlement, which is, I think, the exact opposite of a culture of giving and receiving. But I would like to add another level, perhaps even a more personal level, because I described that I've been working as a Jewish nonprofit professional and rabbi for many years. But why have I been doing that? And for me, the reason is because I want to inspire, I want to transform, I want to create programs that move people, and really that move myself as well. And I feel like those programs should not be governed by the laws of the market. There needs to be some other language, some other way to sort of describe what we're doing, not the buying and the selling and the transactional nature, something more transformative. You know, there's a section from the Talmud that says, Torah needs to be free. To quote the Talmud, Moses says to the Jewish people, as it were, just like I teach you for free, so too when you teach one another, it should be for free. Because Torah, like Israel, is a gift. The rules of the market don't apply to it. It's something that creates community and creates relationships. But what is that language? How do you describe this different type of experience? How do you transcend the market? So a couple of years ago, I actually stumbled. There's a New York Times article about Lewis Hyde, and I started reading many other works about gifts and gift giving. And I thought, this actually might be the model of coming up with a different language to describe the work that I wanted to do. Because while gifts might not have value, they have worth. Think for a second about Shabbat. Right? Shabbat is both valueless and invaluable. You can't buy or sell Shabbat in the marketplace. So too gifts. The moment you try selling or buying a gift, it loses to be a gift and it becomes a commodity. So just like Shabbat, gifts connect, gifts obligate, gifts are reciprocal, gifts create community. And I think this is the basic insight that Steinhardt had when he insisted that birthright be a gift from one generation to the next, because we want to obligate those that receive the gift of birthright to pay it forward, to continue to connect to other people, that the gift shouldn't stop with them. But here's the problem. Too often when we hear the words like free, or we hear words like gift, we think of it in terms of their value, and we think of it in terms of money. We think all gifts are free and that they don't come with connection and obligation. We're stuck with thinking about gifts in terms of the market. We're stuck in one paradigm when we need two distinct paradigms. So how could we capture or recapture the true nature of the gift? Now, my answer isn't a programmatic one. I don't think we should just start calling all free programs gifts, because I don't think it's a linguistic issue. I think it's actually much deeper than that. It's no wonder that many of the scholars that write about gifts and gift cultures use pre-modern societies as their source material. It's as if we moderns have lost the capacity to live life through the prism of gifts, of gratitude, of grace, of chen, of chesed. So I don't think we should just start relabeling things, because I think it's a deeper issue. I think we need to start looking at the world differently. So I'm advocating an alternate way of interpreting the world, an alternate way of being in the world, in which a revolution really, in the way we interact, in which not everything can be bought or sold, and not everything is thought about in terms of the value they produce. Instead, we should think of the gift of being and the gift of being Jewish as primary. And we should realize that we shouldn't judge every program about the value they produce. And our Jewish young adults who participate in gifted experiences should realize that when they are participating in those experiences, we are in fact bounding them to the Jewish community. And if we do so, we will realize that not everything that is free is really free, and not every experience ends at the end of the night or when a plane returns from Israel, but that when we receive, we in turn need to give. Thank you very much.